Thank you everyone for joining today. My name is Bray Mohammed. I'm the Executive Director of Imperial County Farm Bureau. I am really excited that State Treasurer Fiona Ma's office reached out to me about a month ago, wanting to put together this workshop for our Imperial County Farm Bureau members. There's a lot of different resources that are out here for the ag community, and unfortunately, sometimes it's not the easiest to navigate what exactly is available and how we can take advantage of some of those funding sources. And unfortunately, I see it far too often that Imperial County does not get our share of those resources. So everything that Farm Bureau can do to make sure that our members are aware of those resources, we've tried to do that. So I really appreciate the Treasurer's office reaching out to us, and I think that today will be a really great opportunity to learn real quickly about some of the programs that are available and provide you with just the right amount of information to help you know whether something might be right for your operation, and then be able to know the person to contact to follow up and get more information in the future. So I would like to introduce you all to California State Treasurer Fiona Ma. Again, thank you for being here today, Treasurer, and thank you for working on this workshop and having your staff work with us. We really appreciate your time and hope to get you down here to Imperial County once things clear up with COVID, and of course, once it's back to our cooler weather season. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brea, for having us. And I just wanted to thank my external affairs team, especially Seth Dalton, for reaching out to you. And he's my ag liaison, and we know that agriculture is having their fair share of issues during this COVID, and also are anxious to get the federal, state, local, and even private sector resources. So my external affairs team has pivoted to creating real-time external affairs, real-time COVID resource guides, and that is on my website at www.treasure.ca.gov. And when there's a new program that comes online, we update it so that folks are not applying for a program, a grant, or a loan that has already been expended. And during this time, we also set up a dedicated email, and that is askfiona@treasure.ca.gov. We fielded about 800 COVID-related emails. So if you need assistance, like you haven't gotten your unemployment check, you threw away your prepaid stimulus card, when is this loan program coming out from the state or the federal government, please feel free to email us. So we have a jam-packed schedule here today, great speakers. We've done over 150 webinars since the pandemic started. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Jonathan Herrera to talk about our CalSavers program. Thank you, and I'll be back later on.
Thank you, Treasurer Ma. And let me also say thank you to Brea at Imperial County Farm Bureau for hosting this and inviting us to participate. And thank you to everybody who joined. As the Treasurer said, my name is Jonathan Herrera. I'm the Outreach Manager for the CalSavers program. And CalSavers is the state's new retirement savings program for private sector workers that don't have access to a savings program at work. And let me start by saying that we know that employers throughout the state are experiencing unprecedented challenges right now, but we want you to know that we are here to help employers by offering extra support and flexibility. And at the same time, we're really proud to be promoting this program during this period because, you know, now more than ever, we see how vital it is for all of us to have financial resiliency in both the short and long term. And CalSavers is designed to help workers on both those measures. And I think with so many people working to overcome financial setbacks caused by the pandemic, you know, more employers that we connect with, you know, have been focusing their efforts on helping employees improve their financial wellness and save for their future. And, you know, one of the obvious ways that employers can do that is by looking at adopting retirement plan benefits, whether that's CalSavers or a plan from the private market. So let me tell you a little bit about CalSavers and why it's important for you all to hear. And then we will I'll hand it off to the next speaker. So CalSavers was created by legislation back in 2016. And you know, the California legislature was trying to address this access gap that exists throughout the state. You know, we know that half of Californians are projected to retire into economic hardship. And we think a key driver of that fact is that there's, upwards of 7 million Californians throughout the state who are working every day, playing by the rules, but lack access to a workplace-based savings program. And that's important because all of the research shows that the best way to get people saving and on a path towards retirement security is by having payroll deduction savings plans at work. So back in 2016, let's go to the next slide, please. The legislature passed a bill, Senate Bill 1234, did a couple of really important things. Number one, most important takeaway for you all on the webinar today is that it did create a new mandate for California employers. And then the second thing, of course, is it gave us the authorization to create CalSavers as a solution to this new mandate. So the new mandate says that any business in the state with at least 5 employees, if you're not currently offering employer-sponsored retirement plan, you're going to need to register for CalSavers and facilitate this program for your employees. So what that means in real life is employers that are already offering a retirement plan, you're exempt from the mandate. Many of you have probably already been scrubbed from our list if we could see it. If you set up an employer-sponsored retirement plan before the deadlines, then you're exempt. And for everyone else, we've created the CalSavers program as a really simple plug-and-play solution for employers to be able to provide access to their employees. So I've left this screen up for a minute. Because this is probably the most important part for you to take away about the mandate. We are in the midst of a 3-year rollout of the registration deadlines based on the size of business. So the first registration deadline was last year. Businesses with more than 100 employees should have registered for this program or certified their exemption. If we have any folks, large farm operations on the webinar today, please connect with us. We can help you get up and running and in compliance before that registration deadline. The second deadline is coming up in just a few months. It's on June 30th of this year. And then the last deadline for businesses with 5 or more employees, you'll have until June of next year. We've done a little bit of research. As you can see, we've identified, in Imperial County, total number of employers more than 700, about 780, representing 24,000 employees throughout the state. And just in the ag industry in Imperial County, we've identified more than 150 employers that should be subject to this mandate, representing 13,000 employees. So potentially huge impact in Imperial County. Next slide, please. So just really quickly want to talk about what we had in mind in designing the program. We connect with stakeholders, employers all of the time. And over again, we hear that the biggest hurdle keeping employers from sponsoring their own retirement plan is the administrative burden, the fees, and the fiduciary responsibility. So we've designed CalSavers to address all 3 of those things. We've made it as easy as possible to facilitate. There are no fees for employers, and of course, employers are not fiduciaries of the program because you're not sponsoring it. Compliance, if you facilitate CalSavers, comes with just 4 easy steps. You register by your state required deadline, you set up your account, really simple process, takes less than 15 minutes, set up a username and password, tell us who's responsible at your business, tell us about how you do your payroll. And then you maintain a roster of your employees and submit employee contributions for your participating employees as part of your existing payroll process. And that's it. I won't get too much into the details today because we're very limited on time, but we do several webinars throughout the week open to the public, and we invite you to join those at any time. Next slide, please. Really quickly, a couple of things that I wanted to highlight, benefits for ag employers in particular. The program does have no employer fees and no fiduciary liability, which makes it really simple for ag employers. A lot of times we hear, because of our workforce, we're worried that folks won't participate. That's why CalSavers is perfect. Their participation is completely optional, and because there are no fees, it's not dependent on participation in your workforce. So completely flexible, even for your high turnover workforce. Even your H-2A employees are eligible if they want to participate. And then, of course, we handle all of the communication with your employees and have a multilingual field team available for employee education. So we can partner with you to help make sure that your employees get the resources that they need in language, if that's helpful. And we're looking forward to partnering with you on doing that. Next slide, please. So, please feel free to reach out to us. You can go to our website, calsavers.com, to learn more about the program. We have dedicated customer service lines for savers and employers, open 8 to 8, Monday through Friday. And then we also offer one-on-one support. We have both onboarding and field teams that are multilingual, ready to help you out. And as I mentioned, we do 4 or more webinars per week open to the public. So you can go to calsavers.com events, and we invite you to join to learn more about this program. Hopefully this little overview has inspired some curiosity for you, or at least some need to figure out what these compliance deadlines are. So thank you very much for letting me join. And at this point, I will hand it off to David Gibbs from the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority, tongue twister, for his presentation.
Thanks, Jonathan. You did great. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. And first, I'd like to start off by thanking Treasurer Ma and Brea Mohammed for the opportunity to speak with you all today about 2 programs offered through the State Treasurer's Office and the California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority. We refer to that as CATFA. Hello, my name is David Gibbs. I'm the program manager overseeing design and implementation of the energy efficiency financing pilots for the California Hub for Energy Efficiency Financing. That's also known as the CHIEF. And we'll talk more about one of the CHIEF financing pilots here in a minute. But the CHIEF is a division of CATFA, and CATFA is housed within the State Treasurer's Office under the leadership of Treasurer Ma. CATFA works collaboratively with public and private partners to provide innovative and effective financing solutions for California's industries, assisting in reducing the state's greenhouse emissions by increasing the development and deployment of renewable energy sources, energy efficiency, and advanced transportation and manufacturing technologies, all to reduce air pollution, conserve energy, and promote economic development and jobs. And today I'm going to talk to you about 2 CATFA programs that help small businesses financially and support a green economy. Next slide, please. The first program I'd like to talk to you about today is our Small Business Energy Efficiency Financing Program. First of all, we are well aware that small businesses have a lot of pressure on them now, and energy efficiency is not necessarily what you're thinking about, first and foremost. However, for small businesses that need to replace their HVAC system or water heating or lighting, doing so can help lower operating costs. And through the Small Business Energy Efficiency Financing Program, businesses can access up to $5 million in financing with extended payment terms. Because our program provides finance companies with a credit enhancement or a type of insurance for the financings they issue, those finance companies are able to approve a very wide base of businesses, as well as provide better rates and terms than businesses would otherwise qualify for. And this can translate into lower interest rates and or longer repayment terms than our finance companies would offer on the open market. And so who's the program for? It's for small businesses in your area who receive energy from one of the state's 4 investor-owned utilities. In your area, that might include Southern California Edison, SoCalGas, or SDG&E. But please note that there might be some restrictions on electric measures for properties that receive service from the Imperial Irrigation District. Both property owners and businesses who lease their space can qualify, and younger, newer businesses with less established credit can also apply. Next slide, please. Through the program, businesses can upgrade their entire property or finance single pieces of equipment. Measures include lighting, refrigeration, HVAC, food service equipment, and much, much more. Financing can also be combined with the utility rebates and their 0% on-bill financing program. On the right, you can see a couple of examples of projects that were financed through our program. One, a dairy in the San Joaquin Valley, accessed $395,000 to replace and upgrade lighting and well pumps, and they also took advantage of rebates from PG&E, which resulted in savings. In fact, we've had 2 dairy projects which have both used the Small Business Financing Program to install more efficient lighting, efficient well pumps, and in one, the automated pump shutoff equipment. Another project you can see listed on the slide is a bakery that accessed $145,000 to do duct sealing and replace hood vents. They also included some remodeling and took advantage of the ability to include non-energy upgrades in their financing as well. And if there are contractors on the line or on the call listening who do energy efficiency retrofits or install energy efficient measures, we'd love to have your participation in the program, and please reach out to me. Next slide, please. The program has several finance companies to choose from who offer a variety of options for customers. And regardless of the finance company that you choose, customers receive benefits that separate their small business financing offering from what they normally offer to the public. And some of those benefits include lower interest rates, longer repayment terms, and offering financing to those businesses that just wouldn't otherwise qualify for financing. Next slide. If there are businesses, small businesses who need financing, or if you want more information about this program, you can go to www.gogreenfinancing.com. There you'll see our finance companies and their product offerings. That website also has a Spanish language translation. So if you are a monolingual Spanish speaker, or if you're referring out, giving information about the program to those who are Spanish speakers, that is also an option for them. Next slide, please. And quickly, switching gears now, I'd like to speak to you about the Sales Tax Exclusion, or STE program. And this program is for manufacturers, and it's another program offered by CAETFA. The program provides a way for manufacturers to purchase equipment without paying sales and use tax. And that works out to about an 8 to 10% savings on average for our awardees. The program is available to startup businesses and established businesses looking to expand. Applicants have to submit an application and receive approval from the CAETFA board before they can use the tax incentive. Each project is reviewed to ensure that there is a fiscal and environmental benefit to the state, and companies have 3 years to use the incentive. There is also a requirement that 15% of the approved amount must be utilized within the first 18 months. And for the STE program, businesses can access up to $10 million in STE for each project. And the STE program has approved projects for companies operating in agriculture, including projects relating to dairy biogas production, pistachio processing and production, biomass processing and fuel production, wastewater, and great pumice biogas projects as well. There are 4 ways to qualify for the STE program: the alternative source pathway, recycling, advanced manufacturing, and advanced transportation. And what do these mean? Well, alternative source, this includes producers of fuel or energy that replace fossil fuel sources, as well as producers of energy efficient products. The advanced transportation pathway here, the project must be identified by CAETFA as including emerging commercially competitive transportation related technologies. Examples of this are producers of electric cars or aircraft or batteries used in zero emission vehicles. Recycling, in addition to commonly understood recycling projects, this pathway includes companies that process recycled feedstock or use recycled feedstock in the production of another product or soil amendment. And some common examples of these types of projects include materials recovery facilities, composters, and tire recyclers, and the like. Advanced manufacturing. In this category, companies' manufacturing process should be more advanced and sustainable than previous practices or current industry standards. And specifically, CAETFA is looking to see if less resources such as energy and or water are being used, or if the process is producing less pollutants or waste. While the STE program is currently oversubscribed, companies that submit their application will be placed on a waiting list, and in an event additional funding becomes available later in the year, we'll access that waiting list. To learn more about the STE program or to discuss eligibility, you can contact us. The contact info is listed at the bottom of the slide at CAETFA, CAEATFA @sto.ca.gov. And that completes my presentation here. And now I'd like to turn the floor over to Latavia Pineda from the Small Business Majority.
Hi there, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Very excited to be here today. Next slide, please. My name is Latavia Pineda. I am the Southern California Outreach Manager for Small Business Majority. We are a national education and advocacy nonprofit, and then you can go ahead and switch the slide, please. We are a national education and advocacy nonprofit that focuses on advocating for small businesses and the self-employed. We have offices across the country that work towards the goal of uplifting our small businesses and helping them create a more thriving and inclusive economy via higher quality jobs, access to capital, workplace benefits, etc. Next slide. Today, I'm really excited to talk to you about two programs really quickly. The first of which is the California Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant Program. This may be a grant that some of you are familiar with. It is a grant program that was created by the state government of California. Governor Newsom allocated in total, about $2.6 billion to this grant program. The initial first two rounds consisted of about $500 million. And then rounds 3 through 6, as you can see on the screen, comprised about $2.1 billion, which is a lot of money, as I'm sure many of you can imagine, especially when grant amounts are $5,000, $15,000, and $25,000. This grant program was designed ultimately to help the hardest hit small businesses in historically underserved communities and populations. Just as of last week, round 5 of the program closed. Round 5 had about $729 million in it. Selection notifications are still going out for that round 5. And I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that round 6 is coming. That's important for those of you who have already applied and those of you who have not applied. So if you have not applied, you can start a new application as of, you'll be able to start on April 28th. So you have a few weeks here. Small Business Majority will be hosting some webinars that go kind of more in depth into the actual process if it's new to you. And we also have webinars for those of you who maybe applied in previous rounds and now have questions about what happens next. I would just like to start off by really highlighting that if you applied in previous rounds of this grant program, please don't apply in upcoming ones. That doesn't increase your chances at all. Unfortunately, it actually kind of hurts your timeline for potentially getting a grant. I also want to highlight that Lendistry is the operator of this program, meaning that they are the ones in charge of getting the funds into small business owners' hands via their application portals that they have set up with partners across the state. Next slide, please. And I want to give some updates on previous rounds in case some of you have already applied and you have questions about your status in this grant. And by the way, if you're completely new to the program, the website to find more information is careliefgrant.com, and I'll put that in the chat momentarily. But if you applied in a previous round, it's possible that one of 4 things has happened to your application. Either you were selected, you received a notification that said, congratulations, you've been selected to proceed into the next steps of the California Relief Grant, something along those lines. If you receive that notification, what you have to do is make sure that you're monitoring your email, monitoring your spam for updates to make sure that all of the documentation that you need is uploaded to your portal. Now, we get a lot of people who come to us and they say, I already submitted my taxes. They're asking me for my taxes again. That's probably because your taxes weren't clear, or like the scan wasn't of a high enough quality, something along those lines. So if you're being asked for something, please just do your best to provide it. And if you need any help with the document upload process or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. It's also possible you're waitlisted. This is very common even for those folks who maybe applied during the first round. Very important to keep in mind that the bulk of the money isn't getting out of the door until right now. Right now, in rounds 5 and 6, about $1.5 billion is being pushed out the door. That's a good chunk of the total money of this program, so be patient. And at the end of the day, there are priority factors that play a key role in determining who gets selected and who doesn't. At the end of the day, although $2.6 billion is a lot of money, it's not enough to save every small business in the state, unfortunately. And again, with that final reminder not to submit another application. It's possible you're not eligible, meaning you don't meet the program's eligibility criteria. That's okay. That happens. There might be another program for you, but don't apply again if you're not selected. And then in the event that you submitted multiple applications or your information didn't match up from section to section, it's possible that you're under compliance review. Next section, please. And like I mentioned earlier, there are some priority factors for this grant. Those include underserved communities, those that have been most impacted by the reopening guidelines implemented by the state, certain industries that have been the hardest hit. The full list of those is on careliefgrant.com, which is currently in the chat. It's the most recent text in the chat if you're looking to find kind of that list. I just wanted to say really quickly, though, that although there are industries and groups prioritized, those are not the only people receiving funds. It has been a pretty equitable distribution, and I believe the state actually published information about where all of the funds are going. So if you have more questions to kind of get an idea, you're more than welcome to look at the state's website for that information. Next slide, please. There are 4 steps to apply for this program if you're completely new. The first is to visit careliefgrant.com. Again, that's in the chat. Second, you select a partner. No need to have a pre-existing relationship with the partner. All that you're going to do is go in there and complete their application through that portal and return to that portal every single time. You'll log back in with your temporary password. It's provided to you by Lendistry, and you'll upload your 4 documents, which are your application certification, your 2019 taxes, your government issued photo ID, and your entity document. Depending on what type of tax filing status you have, that entity document will vary from business to business, from business type to business type. So it's possible you have your articles of incorporation. It's possible you have a business license. It's possible you have your Schedule C from your taxes if you're a contractor. All of these are acceptable. It's just something, it has to be a document that demonstrates that you are a legal business on paper, as they say. Next slide. I won't get too much into the grantee eligibility as there's quite a few different criteria, but again, this information is on careliefgrant.com, listed out number by number, and again, that's careliefgrant.com. Very important to make sure you're typing in the right URL there. Next slide, please. There are some eligible uses of funds. They're quite a bit more robust than the PPP program. So if you're looking for primarily working capital, something like that, that would be really helpful for you to maybe apply for this grant. And again, I really just want to highlight, and I don't think I said this previously, but grants are not loans. Grants don't need to be paid back. You can kind of think of a grant as a little bit of free money. However, you will have to pay taxes on it, so keep that in mind. But grants don't need to be repaid. And the next program that I'm going to talk about is a loan that does have to be repaid. So sometimes grant and loan are used interchangeably, but they're actually different, so keep that in mind. Next slide, please. And I mentioned earlier that the grant amounts are $5,000, $15,000, and $25,000, and that all depends on gross revenue from 2019, not your profits, just your gross revenue. So some people will say, oh, I had losses in 2019, I don't qualify for anything. You probably don't qualify for many loans, but few grants take into consideration profits. So you're being asked for your gross revenues, and on the FAQ section of careliefgrant.com, they have all of that information listed. And then just really quickly, I want to talk about, next slide, please, the California Rebuilding Fund. Next slide. Next slide. Skipping some of this information. Next one, sorry. Perfect. The California Rebuilding Fund is a really great low interest loan made at about 4.25% interest between 3 and 5 years, depending on the size of the loan. So if you're looking for working capital at a low interest rate and you've already applied, let's say for PPP and EIDL, all of those funds have been exhausted at a lower interest rate. Going up to 4.25% is not a horrible option. And these are loans made by community lenders in the state of California, backed by the state's infrastructure bank. There are some very generous loan terms here, but of course it is a loan that you'll have to repay, so keep that in mind. And then if we could just go to the final slide, please. Here is my contact information if you have questions about either of the two programs that I mentioned or any of the other things that we're doing at Small Business Majority. I also want to highlight that you can visit venturize.org to find information about all of the programs that are out there to support small businesses. Thank you. And with that, my apologies, is I get to introduce you all to Brooke from USDA Farm Service Agency.
Hello. As Latavia mentioned, thank you. I am Brooke Raphael. I work for the California Outreach. I apologize. I work for the USDA California Farm Service Agency. I am the outreach coordinator for the state. And go to the next slide, please. I'm here to talk today, kind of a quick overview of Farm Service Agency. I'm not sure if y'all worked with us before. I'm sure some of you have. So the Farm Service Agency provides farmers with a strong safety net of farm commodity and disaster programs. The agency also provides credit to ag producers who are unable to receive private or commercial credit via our farm loan programs. Next slide. So I'm going to go through just a few of our programs. We have quite a lot, and so just some that Rosa Singh, who is the County Executive Director for Imperial County, she would be your local contact, went over and kind of said what the focus is for programs for Imperial. So our ARC PLC, which is Agricultural Risk Coverage and Price Loss Coverage programs, through this program, Imperial annually enrolls on an average of 390 ARC PLC contracts. ARC PLC provides revenue and price loss payments to eligible producers for certain commodity crops. Next slide. So relaying with COVID-19, the USDA came out with CFAP 1 and CFAP 2 coronavirus food assistance programs. In under 9 months, the Imperial FSA office delivered much needed relief to over 450 farmers and cattlemen through the coronavirus food assistance programs. CFAP provided vital financial assistance to help producers absorb sale losses and increase marketing costs associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, as of Monday, they have reopened CFAP 2, and it'll be open for 60 days. So if you have not applied for CFAP 2, or if you're interested in applying, I highly recommend contacting the local Imperial FSA office and getting information to apply. Next slide. Emergency Livestock Assistance Program, also known as ELAP. Imperial County has one of the highest concentration of beekeepers in the nation, and the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program has provided much needed financial assistance to local beekeepers for losses due to events such as fire, flood, and especially colony collapse disorder. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we have quite a few programs relating with disaster assistance, as well as we have our farm loan programs. So I'm not going to go over all of those in this short period of time, but I highly recommend, if you're interested in learning more or applying into one of our programs, to contact the local Imperial County Farm Service Agency office. This is their phone number. And to email, you can email me, Brooke Raphael at USDA.gov, for any questions whatsoever. If you want to contact directly to the County Executive Director, her name's Rosa Singh, rosa.singh@USDA.gov. And with that, I'm going to introduce my pretty much kind of our partners. We work together quite often with the USDA, the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service. This is Jose Herrera in the Imperial County office.
How you doing? Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Brooke. NRCS with Natural Resource Conservation Service. I am Jose Luis Herrera. I'm the District Conservationist here in the Imperial Field Office. Next slide, please. We provide support for farmers, ranchers, foresters, and tribes, and we offer financial and technical support. Next slide, please. This is made possible by the Farm Bill, current Farm Bill of 2018, and that includes many of the programs that we are using through the Farm Bill. Next slide, please. We are located in the area for the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and we are the southern Baja area. Next slide, please. Most of the applications that we have and the resources that we address are being possible by the program, the most popular program, which is Environmental Quality Incentive Program. And it's a voluntary conservation program that helps, again, provide financial assistance to farmers, ranchers, foresters, and tribes. For the eligibility, please contact us here at our field office, and then we can help you fill up all the information for eligibility. Next slide, please. So again, there are many practices that are being used through the Environmental Quality Incentive Program that are very popular here in the area. Next slide, please. And these are the most popular ones that are applied to most of the time at croplands, and those go from surface drain, we call it here in the area, tile, irrigation systems, ditches, pipelines, sediment control boxes to reduce the sedimentation, windbreaks, deep tillage, and one of the most popular programs that we have is engine replacement, which is we help farmers and producers replace all polluted tractors and to get new tractors. Next slide, please. This is some of the examples that we have for the irrigation system improvements, and also for like soil quality. We use tile, and those one of the most popular ones for irrigation systems. Next slide, please. Also, once we help producers with install irrigation systems, there is a good practice to do irrigation water management, so that way we save water and make the water more use friendly to the producers. Next slide, please. High tunnels are also popular. They're a little bit difficult here for Valley because we are in the desert, and the high winds make it a little bit difficult to manage these high tunnels. But people are starting to get aware that we also help producers with high tunnels, and organic farmers are the ones that are really using these advantages that we have. Next slide, please. Like I was saying, one of the most popular practices that we are currently helping the producers and farmers is the replacement of all equipment. All equipment had to be diesel, and we had to replace it for the newest technology, which is Tier 4. Next slide, please. Another program what is also popular here in the Valley, it's a conservation stewardship program. It's basically rewarding farmers and producers and ranchers with the good stewards of the land, and basically when they ask it to do some enhancements for the practice they are already doing, and they contracted for 5 years, and also we help them with some financial assistance. Next slide, please. Again, one of the most popular programs we already talked about is Environmental Quality Incentive Program, which is EQIP. We also have the Regional Conservation Partnership Program. We address water that goes to the Salton Sea. These are our last year that we had our grant, so we are probably going to be applying to renew this program for the Core Valley. There are other programs that are not really popular here, like the easement program. Easements had to be contract the farmer for a long period of time. So that's what I know really popular. Next slide, please. So USDA is an equal opportunity provider and employee. So we help everybody. To apply for any of the programs that we have, it's all year round. So we are currently on the budget period number 4, that's what we call it. It's the last one for this fiscal year, but everybody is welcome to apply, come and we get all the information necessary for you to apply. Again, it's all year round. And thank you very much for the presentation. And I'm going to introduce here Rittenhouse's Farmer Equity Advisor. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Hello, everyone. My name is Thea Rittenhouse. I'm here with the Department of Food and Agriculture. I'm the Farmer Equity Advisor, and really happy to be here today to talk with you briefly about a few of the programs that CDFA has been doing throughout COVID-19, as well as a new program that will become available shortly. So next slide, please. So first talk about the Housing for the Harvest program. There's a website there. You can see at the top, this is a program that CDFA has worked on and helped to launch in 2020 as a response to COVID-19. This is a program that offers services for agriculture, all agriculture workers who need to isolate due to COVID, testing positive for COVID-19. So the goal of this is to really help support workers who have been either exposed to COVID-19 or those who have tested positive to protect their families and their co-workers by giving them an opportunity to self-isolate either in a hotel room or in the home. And there's several things that this program does to provide support. That's for in-home or in-hotel quarantine support. The state is partnering with local entities, and in Imperial County, that local group that is helping to administer the program is the Vaux Neighborhood Medical Clinic. And you can find information about how to contact this clinic on the PDFs listed on this site. But they're the point of contact for this program, which will help in case a food or agriculture worker has tested positive or been exposed to COVID-19. They are able to both shelter in a hotel room or in their own homes if that's more comfortable for up to 14 days. And really importantly, this program provides wraparound services, free meals that are delivered, transportation if needed, free wellness checks and laundry service. And an additional piece of this, which was just approved earlier this year, is financial assistance for those quarantining who cannot work during those 14 days. So for more information on the program, you can visit either the link at the top or contact Vaux Neighborhood Medical Clinic at the bottom. Next slide, please. An additional component of what CDFA has been working to do is to help to distribute personal protective equipment both throughout 2020 and continuing now into 2021. And we're doing this in direct partnership with both the county ag commissioners and local community-based organizations in order to provide different types of PPE, such as either surgical masks, cloth masks, N95 masks, gloves, and hand sanitizers for agricultural workers. And this continues today, so if there are ag business owners or community-based organizations who have these needs or are needing them for their employees, please contact your county ag commissioner in order to order any needed supplies. Another example of a partnership with Vaux Medical Clinic and others was coordination to help Food and Ag Workers Vaccination Clinic to administer 3,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccines as part of the governor's office initiative to provide support for food and agriculture workers. Next slide, please. Here's some also additional resources for food and agriculture. We tried to, throughout the pandemic and continuing now, to keep a very updated source of information with the latest guidance documents for farmers markets, for food processing facilities, food safety, worker safety, and any other updates on vaccinations, testing, and other resources. They're here on this website you see. And additionally, there's a website that is a part of the program that I'm working with at CDFA, the Farmer Equity Office. And this website contains many of the programs that our USDA partners mentioned previously, and really consolidates all of the grant programs and loans into one area, so that farmers and ranchers who are interested in applying for programs might visit that website. And finally, the last program that I'll mention, which will become available actually very soon, is a new grant program for both for small and historically underserved producers. And this will be both direct grant assistance for those producers and related to COVID-19 and economic relief and recovery, but also funds to support organizations who are helping farmers and ranchers to apply for economic relief programs. In effect, many nonprofit organizations have been doing this work already, and this will further support the work that they're doing to help leverage a lot more farmers and ranchers' ability to get access to the programs that are available to them. So I'll leave it there. That's just a brief overview. I realize I did not put my email address on here, so I will leave that in the chat. You're welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will turn it over to Jolene. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thea. As she said, my name is Jolene. I'm with Imperial County Ag Commissioner's Office, and I'm going to discuss our local program called the Agricultural Benefit Program. Next slide. The Ag Benefit Program was created, and the purpose of the Ag Benefit Program was established by the Imperial County Board of Supervisors to offset losses to ag production jobs in our local economy resulting from the renewable energy development here in farmland in Imperial County. Next slide. The committee membership consists of the Ag Commissioner, Imperial County Executive Officer, Farm Bureau, Ivy Veg Growers Association, the cattle industry, and 2 board-appointed general public members. And there's also 1 board-appointed general public alternate member. Next slide. So uses of these funds. The uses of the Ag Benefit funds may include, but are not limited to, stewardship, the protection and enhancement of ag lands within the county, tools, technology, and techniques for protection of ag commodities or increase of crop yields within Imperial County. The supportive programs or projects that increase agricultural industry employment opportunities within Imperial County. So next slide, please. So examples are ag business development, research and development, ag stewardship, and education, which includes local scholarships. Next slide. So as the program rolled out, there were $7 million in 2014 that were available for loans, grants, and scholarships. So there's a breakdown there of how the initial funds were allocated for ag business development, research and development, ag stewardship, and then again, education and scholarship. So to date, we have dispersed over $9 million in funds for, as you see there, next slide, almost $8 million for ag business development, a little over $1 million for research and development, ag stewardship, about $25,000, and education, we've provided over $329,000 for scholarship matches. Next slide. So on to the implementation. So the ag business development, there are low interest loans available for ag business. So these loans are to help provide a local market for growers, perhaps for processing plants, anything that adds additional economic boost to Imperial County and that provides local ag jobs. So as far as research and development goes, next slide, there are grants available. They've provided grants for nonprofit entities and low interest loans for research and development. So the research is to improve yields, maybe increase crop production, anything that would be good for our local economy. And through the University of California Cooperative Extension for special projects for their research, their support of new crops, their advice to improve current crops, and anything related. The next slide. For ag stewardship, there's also grants for nonprofit entities or low interest loans for ag stewardship projects. So that would be for bringing fields back into production, adding new ag fields, anything that directly or indirectly benefits jobs in the economy. So next slide, please. Another part of the program, as I mentioned, are scholarships. So at this time, we're matching qualifying scholarships awarded by other organizations at $3,000 cap per student. So they must be an Imperial County student, and the organization's scholarship requirements must show that it's degree specific to agriculture or a closely related field. Next slide, please. So the loan request proposal. So to reiterate, funds can be used to provide financial assistance for projects in one or more of the following targeted areas: ag business development, research and development, or ag stewardship. And as of February last year, the loans are administered by the Sun Community Federal Credit Union. So the way the process loan works, next slide, please. The completed applications will be accepted and vetted by the county staff to ensure that all documents required are included with the application. So once that's vetted, it'll be presented to the Ag Benefit Committee. And once the committee votes or decides that it can move forward, they'll give it to the CEO's office, and the CEO's office will complete a draft agreement, which will then go to the Board of Supervisors for approval and subsequent funding. So the loan process, again, next slide, will be reviewed on a first come, first served basis. And at this time, loans are available for a maximum of $15,000 for each new full-time equivalent direct job created. And the maximum loan at this time is set at $1 million per project. And the projects, again, must provide a direct benefit to Imperial County agriculture. And just to recap on the grants, it's the same, nearly the same process, but funds are available for nonprofit entities, and they can be used to provide financial assistance for projects in research development and ag stewardship. So the grant application is received by this office. Documents are checked to make sure they're all complete with the application. Once it's vetted, the applicant must present the grant request to the Ag Benefit Committee. Again, it goes to the CEO's office if approved, and then to the Board of Supervisors for approval or subsequent funding. So the grants can be a one-time grant. Some are asked to be completed within 2 years. Some can be multi-year. It depends on the grant and the request and the project, but they must provide a direct benefit to Imperial County agriculture. So that's kind of a quick cap of our Ag Benefit Program. It's a great project. It feels good to give out that loan and grant that money here in Imperial County. So now I'd like to turn it back over to Treasurer Ma.
Thank you very much. I always learn a lot from these webinars, especially today where we partnered with the USDA and the CDFA, and I got a lot of useful information from the County Ag Commissioner of all these special programs that have been established. I just want to add a couple more to the list. Our official COVID-19 resource guides for the state of California is www.covid19.ca.gov. And that's where you can find a lot more useful information, resources, as well as vaccination information. Anyone who is 50 years or older can sign up to be vaccinated at myturn.ca.gov. Or you can also try your local pharmacy Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid, because they are also giving vaccinations. And then as of April 15th, anybody who is 16 years or older will be eligible for vaccinations. And this is important because the governor 2 days ago announced that on June 15th, he would like to have a full reopening of California. And that really is dependent on everyone getting their vaccines and also making sure the COVID spikes have subsided, and we are doing really good in the state of California in terms of new COVID cases. We are at the bottom in terms of COVID-19 new cases. So that's great news for California. Keep up the good work. And then also for anybody who has lost a job or looking for a new job, the state of California has engaged in a public-private partnership where folks can find available jobs, training resources, as well as other types of resources. And that website is onwardca.org. And those job opportunities are, again, updated in real time. And so we hope that folks who are looking for new employment will also find something on that website. So I will just turn it back over to Bria. Thank you so much, Bria, for this opportunity to be with all of you. And I don't know if you have any closing remarks or if you have any pressing questions that came through the chat that you think we should address right now.
Thank you, Treasurer Ma, and thank you again to all of our speakers who presented today. There was a lot of valuable information. I don't see that we have any questions that have come through, but I'll give it another second in case anyone is typing. Let me just double check the Q&A here. So, well, it seems like all of you did a phenomenal job presenting. I will be sure to send out the slides that were presented today to all of our attendees, so that way you have the information and you have all the contact information in case you want to learn anything further about any of these programs. I highly recommend taking advantage of the different programs that were talked about today, because that's what they're there for. They're here for us and to assist us. So thank you again, Treasurer Ma. Thank you to all of our speakers, and we appreciate everyone who was here today and participated as well.
Okay, thank you.